Hello everybody and welcome to the new camera angle I've got going on. Georgia finally bought a tripod. Basically, November. Wow, okay. I tried. I should have bonus points for trying because I honestly did, but you know, October I read 2 books and I think November I just, expected to fall back into the rhythm, which never works, so I'm actually kind of proud of myself for only reading 8 books. Although I did read 8 books, which is a lot lower than my monthly average, or what my monthly average was like 6 months ago, they were actually pretty good books. Like, I will give the books that. They were fantastic, all of them in their own special way. Moving on to the books. The first book I read in the month of November was Torn by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I give this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The first book, Wicked, is so good. It was amazing, and I still think about how good it was, and that book was like the reason I got into Jennifer L. Armentrout. Like, before I just read the Lux series, I'm like, yeah, it's good, but then I read Wicked and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So, I don't know, I'm slightly disappointed by this book, and you can't tell I'm slightly disappointed because it has a 4.5 out of 5 star rating, but the first book was very hard to live up to. This book, the action didn't really kick in until the end, and even then, it was like 5 pages until the end of the book where like things made sense and everyone's like, oh, that's what happened, and then people started wanting more. But it was the end of the book. Like, this book, okay, basically I don't think this book was planned out very well, and with my experience, because I waited for this book for the whole 1.5 years that she was saying, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. She did write this book with just, I think, this was her 3rd draft of the book, I'm pretty sure, and it is self-published, so there are a couple mistakes in here, and I think she just wanted to get this book out because people were bothering her about it. I don't know, I can't wait until the 3rd book. I really want to see how this ends. The next book I read was Alice in Zombieland by Gina Showalter, and this is book 1 in the White Rabbit Chronicles, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. This book, the story was very addictive, but the plot was quite cliche, and it reminded me a lot of the Sweet Trilogy by Wendy Higgins, to the point where I was like, I was reading this book and I'm like, but didn't that happen? And then I remembered, no, different characters, different plot. Like, it took me a while to kind of separate the two. I'm not saying that's plagiarism or anything, I'm just saying that the stories were so similar, like the feel of the stories, and they read the same as well. They had the same addictive but cliche quality. This book was addictive. The characters were amazing. Like, the plot was, pretty good. The writing was pretty good, but I don't know, I feel like it's not a favourite. Like, it's definitely not a favourite for me, but like, I feel like people like read the series and they're like, yeah, it's good, but in like 10 years time and be like, you remember that one series about zombies? Yeah, that's basically my take on it, if that makes sense. The next book I read was Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars for sure. I love Nick and I love Hannah, the 2 main characters. They were absolutely amazing. The story was amazing. The plot twists were absolutely fantastic. This series is shaping up to be so good, and there are cameos from like characters in Illuminae because it is a companion type book in the trilogy. But there are cameos from the characters and it's just absolutely amazing, and you can just feel the drama kind of like going up and bubbling over, and I can't wait until the 3rd book because also there is a plot twist in here that I still think about it and I'm like, how did I not see it coming?
Now I am become Death Destroyer of Worlds. It's Oppenheimer! It's Oppenheimer! Shout out to the 100 for teaching me that.
Everyone should read this, like right now. Like, if you have it on your shelf, just pick it the fuck up. And the next book I picked up was Something in Between by Melissa De La Cruz, and I also gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This book is, oh my god, I can't even, Everyone needs to read this book. It should be required reading for a lot of people because this book just shines a whole new light on immigration, because the government kind of makes immigration and immigrants seem evil, like they're coming here to steal our jobs, and I've never believed a word of it because my family were immigrants, but some really ignorant people still believe that, and they really need to read this book because it talks about such a sensitive topic in such an amazing way, and it personalizes it. And I loved Jasmine. She was an amazing character, and sometimes, yeah, she made wrong decisions, and sometimes she really did piss me off with those wrong decisions, but she was still just an amazing person to follow. And then there was Royce. Don't even get me started on Royce. I loved him so much. The next book I read, which also got 5 out of 5 stars, I was on a little roll here, was A Million Worlds with You by Claudia Gray, and this is the last book in the Firebird trilogy. I still can't even fathom how amazing this trilogy was. I loved it so much. The first book, A Thousand Pieces of You, was amazing. I bought it for a friend for her birthday and 2 friends for their birthdays, and they both absolutely adored it. And then another mate of mine just read it and she loved it, and I can't wait for them to read the whole trilogy, because that's what this trilogy is. I'm excited. I love Paul, I love Marguerite. I want to share them around the world and make other people love this trilogy, because this is still kind of relatively unknown. Like, there is the small Tumblr fandom, but they're not really, you know, out there. But basically, this was a fantastic end to a trilogy. I loved it so much, and I really wish that there was like more coming, like maybe a novella or something, but I seriously doubt it, because Claudia Gray's got another book coming out in April, so she probably has no time for that, but I still want it. The next 2 books I read were books number 2 and 3 in the White Rabbit Chronicles, Through the Zombie Glass and Queen of Zombie Hearts by Gina Showalter, and I, gave these 4 out of 5 stars. I got confused there for a minute. I was about to say 3, I'm like, that's the wrong number. Basically, the reason I didn't review this as a trilogy, because the first book I read earlier in the month, was because I read like 5 books in between them, and I didn't want to generalize the whole series, because the first book for me is very different from the second and the third book. Basically, these were good, they were still cliche, they were still addictive, but a lot of my bookish pet peeves, I saw them in these books. And I don't know how to necessarily feel about it. Like, it's a good series. Like, it's pretty good to get you into paranormal books. They're safe for your kids to read. Okay, no, not necessarily. Only some parts are safe for your kids to read. But, like, this was a fantastic end to Ali and Cole's kind of trilogy, and the series did make me want to pick up the companion book, but I have no money for that, so yeah, that's not gonna happen. And finally, the last kind of book I read was A Midsummer's Nightmare. I can never say this I keep on wanting to say A Midsummer's Night Dream. A Midsummer's Nightmare by Cody Keplinger, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars to. This book was fucking amazing. Cody Keplinger's books have always been kind of an adventure for me, because, okay, the Duff I liked, but there was a lot of girl-on-girl hate there, which I really wasn't, you know, up for. And I do like the movie a lot more than the book. Shut Out was, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't amazing. Like, I'm not going to remember it in 10 years' time and be like, yes, literature, I'm going to read this to my children as they fall asleep. No. This book, however, this book was amazing. I love the familial relationship here. I just need to talk about this for a second. I love the familial relationship. It is so hard to find a book with a good familial relationship, because sometimes as soon as like some big event happens to the kid, they just leg it straight away. They just like go away. The family goes away. The kid goes and solves their own problems, fights a war, whatever, and then the family comes back like, oh, we've missed you. What have you been doing over the summer? And the kid's like, oh, if only they knew. And I'm just like, I love it when a family is in a book, and I loved this because the family was here and it was amazing. And I loved Whitley and Nathan's, like, their chemistry together, and I loved the Caulfields in general. It was just, I really, really enjoyed this book. The reason I said last kind of book was because I did end up reading a 50-something chapter Wattpad novel, which was grammatically the worst thing I've ever read, but I was digging the plot. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!